All right, Bitcoin has been pumping today. We have gotten a move outside of this wedge that we have been in after getting a move from the lows of the wedge back to the top of the wedge. And this move didn't really come as a surprise to me. I actually talked about in one of my videos that we were seeing some bullish signs at support at the low of the trend line, but that's not really what I was focused on. I was more so focused on the previous highs, pretty much of the large range that we traded in for most of last year and part of this year as well. So we are pretty much retesting, the highs of this previous range. We also had a little area of consolidation here in this uptrend, and we were seeing some bullish signs down at support as we put in lower lows. We did see some divergences in money flow on this 4 hour and in momentum. On the 2 hour, you can see it a little bit cleaner, and even overall, we even saw money flow divergences stemming from when this wedge started forming. So back here, we saw very deep money flow in the red, and pretty much since that point, it continued to put in higher lows. So over the long term, the money flow was diverging. As we got that last move to the downside, we did see some momentum divergences on this 2 hour, on the 4 hour as well. And these are things I talked about 5 days ago when I posted this video. I talked about these divergences that we were seeing. I talked about the money flow overall increasing. And we have since gotten that move that I was expecting. We got a move to the upside. We even broke out of this wedge. And right now we are approaching a very key level. We are approaching the daily lower high that I had marked out. I'm sure a lot of people aren't looking at this as a lower high because looking at it on this time frame at least, we put in a lower low and then a lower high and then even a lower low here, even though it was just a wick, and then a lower high and then the lower low, and that's when we broke structure right here. And that is the 4 hour structure that I have marked out. I talked about the market structure break in my last video, so I was looking at that structure as well, but even on the daily, you can still kind of see those lower lows and lower highs. But, the reason I'm not considering that part of the structure is because overall, I'm looking at this structure as more so like the extended moves that price goes on. Like we had an extended move to the downside, an extended move to the upside here, and then I'm counting this as one extended move to the downside. So I'm ignoring this because it's too bunched up when you go to the higher time frames. And you can even go to the 2 day or the 3 day and it becomes even more cluttered. And on the 3 day, there's no way you can call this structure. So on the 3 day, it just goes from here to here to here. So this is a very significant point, whether you want to call it daily market structure or 3 day, whatever. It is, overall, I think a more key market structure point than anything in here, just because it was the top of this extended move to the upside. So we are approaching a very key level, and I'm sure a lot of people are getting very bullish. Carl from the Moon is posting on his YouTube that he is longing the breakout of this wedge or whatever. And, maybe a lot of people are expecting a move up to the top of this pattern that we have here, the classic target of these. I'm sure some people are expecting a move much higher. And maybe that is where, the fake out can really get a lot of people. Maybe we just, approach this high, grab liquidity from it, and then just shoot to the downside. Maybe not even going that far, maybe just putting in a higher low and a higher high, but at least wrecking all the people that are longing right here. And, specifically all the people that didn't come up with a plan here, all the people that are just longing the breakout, invalidation down below the low or, down below, I don't know, the point of control of this range. If they even have an invalidation in mind, maybe they're just like, all right, I'm going to enter along here, and if I get liquidated, I get liquidated. I did long somewhere up here, like around the highs of this, but I longed on a very low time frame, and I had a low time frame invalidation, so I was able to risk a low amount and lock in the trade once I got some profits locked in, and then from there just let it ride. So I do have a long open right now, but if that ends up getting stopped out by a move like this, at least my stop loss is at my entry. So I think that the next major point to watch is going to be this high up here, around 28,442. And if we can close the daily candle up above this high, then maybe I'll start to get a lot more bullish, because, at that point we can then talk about potentially putting in a weekly high or low here on top of, previous resistance, previous, high time frame resistance here. So if, we start closing the daily candles up above the daily market structure point, I think that opens the door for us to take out the highs and potentially close weekly candles up here. So that is pretty much what I'm looking at this moment. To the downside, if we start retracing, I don't really have many areas in mind right now because if we start getting rejected here, it could just be a daily lower high, and then at that point, we might just continue this structure. I do have local retracement targets that I'll go over, but as for the more macro, really I'm just waiting to see what happens if and when we get up to this high here. So locally, right now, I am in a scalp short. Never mind, that got stopped out. Guess I didn't realize that, but it got stopped out on my entry, so yeah, that's all good. Did take a short from that untapped daily there. So yeah, that was a break even. That's all good. And I am still in a long trade from right down here. Now, this long trade, I used kind of like a new strategy I'm trying out. It's not really a new strategy. I'm just trying to find a way to incorporate Market Cipher DBSI into some of my trading because, I think it has a lot of potential. I just haven't used it much. So basically this long I took down here was because we had 12-minute divergences. And after we saw the divergences, I was basically looking at Market Cipher DBSI for an entry. So what DBSI does is it pretty much puts numbers above and below the candle. The numbers above the candle are bearish strength and the numbers below are bullish strength. And when the bearish number outweighs the bullish number, that means, there's more bearish pressure, there's more downward pressure. And when the opposite is true, when you see a high number on the bottom and a low number on the top, that means there's more bullish pressure. So when I was looking at this, after we got those divergences, I pretty much waited until I saw the numbers on the bottom start to increase greatly and the numbers on the top start to decrease. And we started to see that here. We got an 11 and a -2 on top. If we go to the next candle, it kind of started to flip-flop a little bit, so I didn't enter yet. But right here is when I entered. When we saw the 17, 18, we saw 3 straight candles of very high numbers on the bottom. That was pretty much my entry. And, I'm still trying to kind of refine my entry, trying different time frames. I took another scalp yesterday using the same kind of strategy on the 5-minute. So that was basically it. Nothing special with that. I took a little scalp there. And when I took this, my invalidation was all the way down below this wick. So I had kind of a large stop loss, larger than I usually use at least. But, as you can tell, we got a very large move to the upside. So it's all good. I hit my first TP, I think, up around these highs. I pretty much just ensured a break even here, put my stop to my entry, and then from there, it just kept riding. So I'm still in this. I took out a lot of the trade already, still got a little bit left open, and that is the only trade I'm in now because my short just got stopped out. Now, right now, we may be getting rejected from this daily level again after just taking out the highs. We can check DBSI. Let's see what's going on here. So we did get divergences as we put in that high, and we saw a pretty large increase from a -5 to a 13. Potentially another scalp entry here, but right now the risk reward is not looking great. If I'm targeting these lows, yeah, that is not worth it for me. So I'll wait and see if we get a retracement. If not, it seems like we're just kind of getting little retracements here and then another higher high. Maybe if we break market structure here, I'll be more interested in a short, but for right now, the pattern has just been higher highs, higher lows. And other than that, I'm not really interested in too much else until we get to that daily high, which is just a little bit above us. And if we start getting a retracement to the downside, I do have some pretty interesting levels of support marked out, potentially juicy ones. So first off is this 10-minute order block, which also has confluence or had confluence with the uptrend POC. Now it changes, and my alerts are going off. But the POC is still the same. We put in another higher high, so the uptrend continued. I had to move it, but it is still the same. So this is an area of confluence. We can also check the fib from here. Looks like it might be a 0.5, and it is. So it's a nice confluence there. So right now the 1 hour higher low is coming in right here, and I'll actually mark that out because following this structure, we had this 1 hour uptrend, put in the higher low right here, got another higher high, another higher low, and then another higher high. So this is the 1 hour market structure point, and right above it we have some order blocks. So I'll delete that, that is old. We have a 2 hour order block right here. You can see that purple candle in between the two blues, and then we got an aggressive move to the upside. So that is a nice order block, and I included the wick because on the 1 hour we also have this 1 hour order block, which marked the low. So basically I just extended the box down to the low, and I think this could be a nice place for a 1 hour higher low if we get a retracement here. And maybe, just maybe, we can pull the fixed range of the larger uptrend and see if a point of control lines up in there. So I'd pull this back to, was this the low or was this the low? I don't know. But right now the point of control is a little bit lower, so not exactly what I want, but let's pull it back to this low. Okay, not really seeing any confluence with that. And let me pull this fixed range over. Yeah, no confluence there either. And right now there is no fib lining up from this pull, so okay, not getting a lot of confluence there, but overall I do like this area because it's the last order block before we will break this 1 hour structure. It's right above the 1 hour higher low, so I think it's significant. And maybe you can find some other confluence there locally, but yeah, if we get it moved down to here, this is an area I'd be interested in. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for right now. Other than that, I'll just be looking at local price action as it develops, maybe trying to take some more scalp trades. Alright, well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Really appreciate the support. And I will see you all in the next video.